Hi, I'm Sarah from the Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at London Film Festival. Maybe we can kick off with an intro to The Surfer. What can people expect going in?
Thanks. It's like a psychological thriller set in Australia, starring Nicolas Cage. It's about a guy who is returning back to a seaside town that he grew up on when he was a kid in Australia, but then left for the US when his dad died, and now he's returning as an adult to try and buy back the house that he grew up on and go surfing with his son on the beach. But places changed and the locals now won't allow him to even be there to surf and want him gone. But he refused and he digs his heels in, he stays there, and then ends up having a kind of a journey over about 5 days, which leads up to Christmas Day, actually, in the baking heat of Western Australia.
And it seems the film is as much about maybe Nicolas Cage, as an actor, as well as the character he's playing. So did the original idea for the film come from the setting and the character? Did you have him in mind? Was it built around him? And how did you get him on board?
Not really. It was, it started out as like a one-pager kind of idea that Thomas Martin, the screenwriter, sent me, and we had planned on doing something together for a while, and it could have been set in America or it could have been Australia or somewhere with the surf culture, and we both were fans of new wave Australian films from the 60s and 70s, and kind of wanted to. And also films like The Swimmer, the Burt Lancaster movie, that sort of had that feel to it, the story. So we started developing it together, and then as it progressed, the script, it was kind of like very kind of intense and very subjective journey of this character. So like we see everything through his eyes, basically, like as in he's in every scene, and the audience only understands what he understands. So like we really needed an actor who can like do all of that, go through a lot of like pain and suffering, but also there's like action, there's violence, there's some funny, crazy shit in the movie as well. And like it's not that many people that can do that, and that you feel for the whole time. Then once we thought about Nick for the role, we were like, that makes it really interesting. This American coming back to this place and having an American accent, even though he's technically Australian, and it kind of makes him more of an outsider. He read the script. He'd actually seen Vivarium before, and he really liked it. And then he watched Nocebo and thought that was cool. So he kind of got the kind of stuff that I like, and that's also the kind of stuff that he likes. So when he read the script, he was like, yeah, I can totally see this. And he jumped on a call with me, and we got on very well, and he agreed to do it. So then we ended up kind of collaborating on the script with him for about 3 or 4 months before we shot the film, where we were able to kind of just tighten it up, and so he's part of that process too.
And obviously we have seen Nicolas Cage be quite unhinged on screen before. Did you sort of have one of those movies in your head when you're thinking about this character? And you obviously have like a bit of a talent for, I was thinking of Eva Green as well in Nocebo, where you really kind of put her through the ringer.
People into these horrible places.
Is there something quite like marvelous about kind of just how far can we push this?
Yeah, I think it's really enjoyable to be able to push it, and also then track that journey with the characters so that they're like, not just freaking out all the time. It's like at a point where you really want them to, and then it's kind of cathartic for the audience to go, yeah, like get him. Like there's a moment where he like pulls out that sign, locals only, and with the rat and all that, which I think audiences really enjoy. There's also this kind of, is it Freudenschneiden? What's that term? The German term for like enjoying watching people suffer. There's an element of that to it. So there's like comedy in it also, and Nick's able to give that. He's also very funny.
Yeah, and that line of, if you want to surf, you have to suffer. Kind of like encapsulate the whole feeling in a way.
Yeah, it encapsulates making films, yeah.
Did you have a favourite scene, or was there a moment in the making of it that was like, have we gone too far?
I mean, there's like favorite scenes is tricky because sometimes like you really like a scene because you've actually had to work on it a lot, or like rewrite it a few times, or to make it, even like for the budget to work or whatever reason. But when I watch it, I really enjoy. There's like a run where he attacks Pitbull and ends up going back to the tiki hut, and then goes into this kind of long sequence where he joins the gang and has a kind of psychedelic experience that brings it right into the the final act. The music and that I really like, and I really enjoyed constructing it and shooting it and everything. So that's probably my favorite scene.
And what do you hope people take away from watching it? I said maybe there is something cathartic about watching someone go on this journey. Oh, and is it also about, where you're from or trying to return to a place, the gatekeeping that can happen in these
It's
places?
about identity and, these kind of, identity in crisis or masculinity in crisis, where these kind of guys who are like looking for a father figure are kind of manipulated by these kind of, I don't know what kind of a Joe Rogan-esque character who seems very masculine and offers up something that that these guys feel that they're missing. That's played, the Julie McMahon character, Scally, kind of offers that to Cage's character. And then there's this sort of interesting thing of like nostalgia and warped memories of the past and how we can kind of construct an idea of what we think idealism is. And that's kind of what he goes through in the film as well, like thinking that if he buys back the house, everything's going to be great, even though his wife's left him, his kid thinks he's a dickhead, and everything's kind of falling apart. So all of those themes are interesting and they're all in there. So like it's one of those films I think that's enjoyable on the surface as like action, thriller, psychological movie, but then it can be picked apart as well and you can kind of dig into the deeper kind of aspects of it.
And finally, what does it mean to you to have the film here at London Film Festival? And I know you had the midnight screening, didn't you, at Cannes? What did you find the reaction was already?
Yeah, great. And we had our UK premiere in Prince Charles on Wednesday night. It was great, brilliant crowds, and yeah, it's great. I've had a bunch of films here over the years, so I actually realised my first film I had here was in 2004, short film, 20 years ago. Yeah, it's great to be back here, yeah.
And what's going to be next? How do you choose your projects? Is there a thread between them?
Well, it's not really a matter of choice. It's kind of like, you work on them for like 5 years, 10 years. So I'm working on a film called Goliath, which we're casting and at the moment and doing location scouting and everything. So that's next. But we started working that years ago, so it chose me.
Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
You're very
Huge
welcome.
congrats on the film.
All
Really
right,
enjoyed
thanks.
presenting it here in London.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a
much.
lot.